It's thought there are as many as 111 different types of lie. We all do it, and if we didn't, we wouldn't be human.
There can be no whitewash.
But what makes some of us more honest than others?
I didn't give you 10, I only gave you 5.
When we do lie, how can we avoid being caught?
I created a new me, a totally new me.
And how good are we at spotting lies? I get the 3rd degree from a human lie detector.
Are you lying to me right now?
No.
I think you are lying to me right now.
This program uncovers the real truth about lying and challenges much of what we think we know. As a psychologist working in addictions, I've learned that sometimes it pays not to take things at face value. So a good deal of my time is spent trying to sort out fact from fiction. As a result, I think I've developed a good sense of when I'm being lied to. And like anyone else, I hate it when I discover that I'm being taken for a mug.
When someone lies to me, it gets me real upset, angry, hurt, humiliated.
Being lied to would make me angry, upset if it was someone close.
Well, you have to lie on occasion, but you know, honesty is the best policy. I think you do have to be honest with people, otherwise, what's the point in living?
Anger, definitely. Disappointment.
Given how we feel about lies, it's not surprising that we set great store by being able to detect them. We're about to perform a simple test. You're going to see 6 short clips, half of them true and the other half made up. We want to know if you can spot the liars. Also taking part in our experiment are some experts. These bouncers are used to dealing with their fair share of blaggers.
People lie about how drunk they are, age obviously, and that. If there's been a fight and we've had to split it up and that who started it, you know, what it was over, that sort of thing, and that. And you don't have long to sort of like determine, you know, whether they're who's lying and who's not lying and that. So you've got to be a pretty good judge of character.
While the residents of St. Michael's Convent may be known for their honesty, they're also confident that they can spot dishonesty.
I think it's an intuition thing. On the telephone, certainly, I do a lot of telephone. You get some other tall stories there.
So, can you and our teams spot a tall story when it's staring you in the face?
And I began to drill a hole in the wall of my flat.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off you.
My girlfriend and I went to Florida. I wanted to go cage diving with a great white shark. I got my PADI qualification and I was all set, and we went out. And the first time I saw the shark in the water, I couldn't get in.
And I thank God.
During lunch on the second day, a huge yellow car drew up outside the restaurant, and out got Picasso.
The motorcyclist hits my car, spins over the bonnet. I go over to the side of the road, and all of a sudden, this enormous hand appears on my shoulder, and I look up, and it's Frank Bruno.
And I got locked out of my room on the 6th floor. I was completely naked. And I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I know the hotel pretty well. I'll go down and have a swim.
At the moment, I'm trying to become a beauty queen and hopefully become Miss UK.
This guy ran past me, knocked me off the curb, and I twisted my ankle really badly and broke my arm, so I spent the rest of the day in hospital and missed my own party.
So, how did you do? You can discover who the 3 liars were at the end of the programme. If you found the test difficult, you'll be reassured to know that when it comes to spotting lies, we all find it a struggle, even when the stakes are high. For most of the 1990s, this man, an investment consultant from Glasgow, ran an audacious con.
Hi, I'm Donald Bickerstaff, president of Bickerstaff Associates. I committed a fraud of $15 million on 75 people right here in San Francisco.
Instead of investing his client's money, he was stealing it.
For over 8 years, we've been helping people like yourself.
He wastelanded a lot of people's lives and tore a lot of their emotions out, and those are things that can never be replaced.
Bickerstaff's client parties were legendary for their excess.
He used to have a Christmas party. He would invite all his clients, and he would give away these trips to Europe or the Caribbean or something.
Clients were limousine to the parties and limousine home. Clients were so thrilled with the party that they would refer other people to me. So they really served a dual purpose at that point.
Nothing was spared. I mean, it had to have been huge.
But it was all an illusion. Donald Bickerstaff's business empire was founded on a lie, and his clients were the ones paying the price.
At Bickerstaff Associates, we'll be happy to assist you and come up with a plan that's suited exactly to your family's special needs.
Bickerstaff's horse trainer Jeff Bondi and his elderly grandmother invested almost all their money with a man they thought they knew.
He'd been after us for months, and we finally just said, okay, let's do it. And he tried to get my grandmother to go for more, and she said, no, I'll give you this, just show me some results. So my grandmother invested $500,000, I invested about $50,000.
What led Jeff and more than 70 other people to think that Donald Bickerstaff was a man they could trust was simple human nature. Our first instinct is always to believe. Let me show you how it works. These volunteers think they're taking part in some research I'm conducting into stress. But in fact, I'm lying to them.
Welcome. Thank you for coming today. Now, before we begin the experiment, I must warn you that central to our experiment is the administration of a single electric shock. So if any of you on that basis would like to withdraw at this point, you're free to do so. Okay, good.
I want to find out how readily we believe lies. Just like Donald Bickerstaff, it's important that I'm clear, confident, and look like a professional.
I will now count you into the experiment on my mark. 3, 2, 1. The experiment has now started.
From the outset, our volunteers seem nervous. It appears to me as though they believe there's every chance they'll be shocked.
Sam, we've just passed the first minute mark. If you could give me, please, a rating of your stress level on a scale from 1 to 10.
Maybe a solid 7.
What thoughts are going through your mind at this point?
It's mainly just expectation of pain.
I feel that I've tensed up now. I can feel myself sitting very tense. My heart rate is beginning to go up now.
Even our ancient-looking electrical device, in reality a stage prop that wouldn't look out of place in an old episode of Doctor Who, doesn't arouse our volunteers' suspicions. In fact, it seems to be having the opposite effect.
The old-looking generator doesn't look that safe. If it was something, let's say, a bit newer, a bit modern, maybe I wouldn't feel as anxious, but because it seems like an old device.
And despite the fact our machine is set to a lethal level, some seem to think a shock could still be on its way.
The fact that one of the gauges is set to about 22 amperes, which is slightly worrying.
What do you think the chances are now that we will shock you?
Steady 5 now, even though I still have in my mind that, you know, looks can be deceiving. I think you might shock me near the end, probably, if you can shock me.
Now I've been sitting here trying to think it all through, what my chances would be to get this jolt or not. I'm a little worried right now.
Definitely at 7 now, because I still think there's time for me to get a shock. It's like building up to a crescendo.
3, 2, 1. Experiment completed.
What this experiment shows is that once we believe in a basic premise, we're hooked in, despite evidence to the contrary. And there's a good reason why. Because we're told the truth more than we're lied to, we take things at face value. Without this bedrock of trust, human society would collapse. But if spotting lies doesn't come naturally to us, what about telling them? We know from scans of the brain taken during the course of a lie that deception requires a great deal of mental effort. For a very few people, though, it's almost second nature. While Donald Bickerstaff's clients believed that their money was being safely invested, it was in fact being used to fund his extravagant lifestyle.
I've come to San Francisco to get some insight into the sort of person that can swindle their way into a $15 million fortune.
I particularly want to know how it all started.
Occasionally, customers would make the mistake of making the check out to me, and I realized that I could cash that check and use the funds without being discovered. Sometimes a client who was a very powerful executive, perhaps CEO, when he eventually wrote me out checks, sometimes $500,000 or $750,000, would write it out to me, and I had a perverse sense of accomplishment then, because this guy should have known better.
To gain his clients' trust, Donald created an elaborate past for himself, claiming to hold a master's degree and to have once worked for the Bank of England. Both were lies.
Donald was very convincing when it came to his financial things. I mean, he just seemed to know when something was going to go up or down, and he made you believe like that he could take good care of you.
I learned to lie from my dad, from the cues he gave me, but also from watching him lie, you know. I was growing up in Glasgow, and I was with a gang of kids, and we did, you know, do a lot of mischievous things, right? And I would lie to my dad about when I got caught. He would say, I could tell you're lying because your eyes are wide, you know? And I'd think to myself, if I don't want to get caught, next time I lie to him, I better not, you know, widen my eyes.
Okay, now tell me, what do you think are the successful characteristics of, let's call them, a con artist?
Well, one of the main ones, obviously, is trust. You know, they have to be able to gain a person's trust. You have to keep calm in a crisis. You know, they have to be able to lie, you know, straight into someone's face.
But that, of course, depends on the risks involved. Unlike Donald Bickerstaff, most people would balk at the idea of stealing $15 million for fear of being caught. But how many of us are prepared to take money if we think we can get away with it? Five minutes past 9 on London's Oxford Street, and this busy stationery store has just opened for business. With the aid of some strategically placed cameras, we're about to observe people wrestle with a dilemma familiar to everyone: what to do when you've been given too much change.
£13.66, please.
Taking out £15, this man returns his wallet, unaware he is about to be handed not £1.34 in change, but £6.34. Barely batting an eyelid, our man leaves, £5 the richer. With little chance of being blamed for what is, after all, the shop assistant's mistake, one customer after another decides to take the money.
Go on, take the money and run. Thank you very much. Go on, take the money and run. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Go on, take the money and run.
But while a majority of our customers do pocket the extra change, for a significant few, it's a different story.
You received some change, £5.10, thank you.
I didn't give you 10, I only gave you 5.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
There you go, thank you. Oh.
I think I just gave you a £5.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Sorry, thanks.
In fact, some of us are so honest that we'll even go out of our way to rectify a mistake. Like everyone else, this woman has been handed too much change. But it's not until she's outside that she notices. Cue her return.
You gave me too much change.
Oh, did I?
I gave you a tenner.
Oh. So you gave it me back?
I'm so sorry.
It's actually, well, no, it's you'd be £10 out tonight, wouldn't you?
All right.
Nice lady.
Yeah.
So why did some of our shoppers feel compelled to earn up?
It's just basically that if I gave someone the wrong change, I'd hope they'd be honest enough to tell me and sort of give it back.
I would have felt guilty about walking away with a £5, yeah.
I would have felt very guilty had I kept the tenner. Very guilty.
We have another word for feelings like this, and that's empathy. When we empathise with someone, we put ourselves in their shoes, and we imagine how we would feel in their situation. But if empathy is enough to make people think twice about taking a £5, why are some people happy to steal millions? This simple test is all about reading emotions. I want to know if Donald Bickerstaff is able to pick out the most appropriate words to describe 36 pairs of eyes.
Accusing. Decisive. Curious. Contemplative.
Out of a maximum of 36, Donald scored 29, slightly higher than average. It's not hard, is it, to see through what the test is getting at and give a socially desirable response? And it's another thing to actually act out like that in practice.
No, and I've taken those tests before, so in a sense I'm prepared. I think empathy can be manifest in different situations. I mean, you can be very empathic given where you have to help rescue someone, for example. But in the situation that I was in, it wasn't helpful. I had responsibilities to fulfill, and I had to do what I had to do.
And it's this which sets Donald apart. While he can empathize as well as the next person, he can also turn it off at will. But less controllable was Donald's fear. After years of cooking the books, his deception was finally spiraling out of control.
On a number of occasions, I was sweating over a photocopier salesperson who was dressed up very nicely. Seemed like he was the FBI come to get me.
Donald was eventually found out when one of his clients made a call to the company where they thought their money was invested. Told that no such investment existed, the client rang the FBI, and Donald went into hiding.
We were racing horses at Del Mar, and he had never missed a race. His wife attended, her parents did, and she said Donald was busy working. And that made me feel funny. He didn't attend. We called him for the next 2-3 days, and nobody could find him.
I looked in the mirror, and I looked at myself, and I said to myself, I can't believe this is happening. I really couldn't, you know, and I was like having a conversation with myself going, I can't believe this is really happening.
My initial reaction to finding out we had no investments was devastation, plain and simple.
With the FBI breathing down his neck, Donald eventually realized that the game was up.
I was in Crete. I felt like I could hide and not be caught, or I could, you know, go back to America and face the music. So I flew back to the United States, walked into the United States Attorney's office, said, you know, hey, I'm Donald Bickerstaff, I think you're looking for me. And the next day, I was in court facing all of the people that had taken their money.
Pleading guilty, Donald Bickerstaff was sentenced to 10 years.
After I got caught, I was totally relieved. I was stuck in this horrible county jail, but I had this tremendous sense of relief. Like, I'm so happy to be here because I don't have to lead this lie anymore. And the energy that it took to continue it and hold it up, you know, just my own persona and, you know, the rest of everything that was going on was tremendous.
I felt anger, but it's hard to release your anger when there's no one to release it on. He's never called or sent a letter saying I'm sorry for what happened, or so I doubt that he has any remorse. Somebody like that probably should have been shot in the street. It's not politically correct, but he ruined a lot of people's lives.
But it's not just people like Donald Bickerstaff who are capable of hurting those closest to them. It's estimated that on average we tell as many as 15 lies a week. And those to whom we lie the most are our nearest and dearest. Heading the list of what we lie about is sex. When it comes to lying to our loved ones, we work to a different set of rules.
It was an ex-girlfriend, and I was just like two-timing her behind the back.
Lying to my ex-wife that I was running and I wasn't.
I wasn't in a certain place at a certain time that I should have been, and basically it was because I was elsewhere enjoying myself.
It would appear that us men have a lot to answer for. But then again, deceit has always been the way of the world. We may think of lying as a human phenomenon, but in fact, deception is rife throughout the animal kingdom. After all, what's camouflage but a means by which one animal sends false information to another? But some animals have taken deception to another level. Chimpanzees will frighten jealous rivals away from their food with a succession of fake alarm calls, as if there was a predator nearby. Behavior which would indicate that chimps, like us, are capable of conscious deception. But whether it's deliberate or not, there's something which all forms of animal deception have in common, and that's survival.
So what about the human animal? Surely deception isn't so crucial to our survival that we can justify its downside.
2 years ago, Greg Billingham became destitute when, within the space of a few months, first his transport business and then his marriage fell apart.
That situation was my biggest nightmare. To go from having friends and warmth and comfort to nothing scared me to death. To actually walk down the street, I felt as if everybody knew. Everybody knew that I'd lost everything. I was like a loser. And I would literally walk around looking down. I wouldn't look people in the eyes. I was worried in case anybody that knew me might see me.
With no job and no home, Greg was forced to live rough.
So this is where I would try and bed down for a night. I would find an opening, a loose door, something I could just get in, find a dry place in a corner somewhere, get my sleeping bags out and spend the night there. It was after about 3 months of really living rough, I could actually feel myself becoming depressed. You feel like your life's ended, and what is the point of living anymore? You just want to kill yourself, you know. You don't want to be in that situation anymore. And that was beginning to scare me. And it was that point that I felt I had to get myself out of this hole.
Greg's plan involved nothing less than reinventing himself as a professional builder.
Greg, when you were at rock bottom, what were the first steps you took to climb your way out?
Well, the one thing I found I had to do was to get back into some sort of work, to keep myself occupied and have some reason to get up out of bed. So I literally really blagged my way into work. From little tiny jobs, I'd say, yes, I can do that, up to what I would class as major jobs.
So this was lying as a practical means of survival?
Yes, it was the only way I could get myself out of the hole that I was actually in. It was a case of getting my life back on track, because as I was, nobody would accept me. The system wouldn't accept me. I created a new me, a totally new me.
Greg lied to get himself out of a desperate situation and was able to square it with his conscience because the ends justified the means. But it's not just lying that can bring rewards. It also pays to be able to spot lies. The problem is that most of us only get it right a mere 50% of the time.
You look for the eyes, and you look for finger movements, fidgeting.
Not looking someone in the eyes and playing with their, their ears or their whatever they're talking. Fidgeting. Shifting.
You can see it in their eyes, you can see it in their mannerisms. There's some kind of nervousness going on.
You can't look the person in their eye when you're telling a lie.
Eye contact. She can't lie. We can't lie to each other in each other's faces.
Well, they say if you look away, don't they, that you're telling fibs, but I don't know if that's true. I know whenever I lie, my other half always knows, and my mum always knows.
Most people believe that eyes are the best indicator of deceit. But in fact, the entire face is a mass of information, as long as you know where to look. Artist Beth Shannon has a gift which sets her apart from literally 99.9% of the human race. Just by looking at someone's face, she's able to tell almost instantly whether they're lying or not.
Are you lying to me now?
No.
I think you are lying to me right now.
So rare is Beth's talent that people like her have even been given a special name: lie wizards.
Beth, do you think you've always been a very observant person?
I would say so, yes. I've always been quite observant since childhood. You know, I did draw as a child, and I did mostly do portraits, I was fascinated in drawing faces, more so than anything else.
So it was with interest that Beth read about some research being carried out into the ways the face can reveal deceit. One phone call later, and she'd offered herself up as a guinea pig.
I watched about, 30 people telling various lies. Some were telling the truth, some were lying. I had to differentiate between them, and I just took my best shot. I had nothing to lose.
Out of 20,000 people who took part in the study, Beth was one of only 20 to spot 90% or more of the lies.
Were you surprised you did so well?
I was extremely surprised that I did so well, because I didn't think of myself as someone that looks for people lying. I considered myself kind of a trusting person, and I like to take people at face value when I'm talking to them.
Beth is going to quiz me on my opinions about a number of topical issues, which I'm writing down to ensure there's no cheating. What she'll be deciding is whether what's coming out of my mouth matches with what's happening on my face.
So the first subject that we're going to discuss is whether or not you believe that fox hunting should be banned. So, do you believe that fox hunting should be banned or not in England?
I do believe that fox hunting should be banned in the UK.
Are you lying to me now?
No, I'm telling the truth.
I believe you're telling the truth.
You're right, I was.
So, do you believe that smoking should be or should not be banned in public places?
It should be allowed.
Are you lying to me right now?
No.
I think you are lying to me right now.
And you're right.
You got me. Although Beth's talent comes naturally, it's based on scientific fact. It's been calculated that the human face is capable of 46 separate movements, which when combined, reflect the entire range of human emotion. What to you or I is a licking of the lips is in fact movement number 37. A raised eyelid, often a sign of surprise, is number 5, and a simple lip bite, number 32. Most of the time, we are in control of these movements, but every now and then, and particularly when we're under stress, they leak out. It's these involuntary micro-expressions, lasting less than a quarter of a second, that Beth Shannon looks for when searching for evidence of deceit.
Beth, now, what I'd like to show you is a video clip that you may be quite familiar with. And what I'd like you to do, if you can please, is point out to me the examples of micro-expressions that you can see in this clip, and we can stop and freeze frame and go back and go forward at any point to really try and, you know, clarify exactly the sorts of things you're looking for. Should we do it?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, great.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false.
Okay. That's the clip. First reactions.
I saw several micro-expressions that I thought gave him away during his denial.
Okay, let's take it from the top, and you shout out when you see something significant.
Okay, stop right there. He's got kind of a bad boy look on his face right there. He's
sort of chewing his lip.
He looks rather amused to me, like he's getting ready to put one over. He doesn't look nearly as serious as he should be, considering the gravity of the situation.
Okay, let's carry on then and see if we can find the next point where you...
But I want to say one thing.
Okay, stop. Okay, look at, he's got a smirk on his face. He's got a smirk. And again, that is not an appropriate facial expression, considering that he's about to tell something very serious to the public. He's addressing the public right now.
So you think that he is, in a sense, unable to control that aspect of his behavior? It sort of leaks out.
Yes, he's got the facade that he's trying to put over on the people, but he's having this whole other parallel thought process going on, because he's lying. He's not telling the truth.
What's interesting for me is that I was attending to the big gestures, the thumping of the table, and that I did not. I didn't see those little changes from smirk to serious. They passed me by completely. But those little micro-expressions gave the game away.
Yeah, telltale expressions.
Sorry, Bill.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
While the information that Beth Shannon is able to glean from the face allows her to accurately pinpoint deceit, what do a person's features say to us?
Although people say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, it seems that we're more than happy to judge a person by their face.
The practice of physiognomy, determining someone's character from their facial features, goes back hundreds of years. But as recently as the 1930s, some criminologists believed that a heavy brow, protruding ears, and an asymmetrical nose were sure signs of a dishonest personality. Such a stereotype seems absurd today, but have things actually changed?
So, I'm from the BBC, we're not selling anything, and I need your opinions about something. Two faces, which is the more trustworthy? Quick choice.
Him.
Him, why?
I don't know. He's not so rough looking.
Oh, that one. Why him?
Bigger eyes.
Bigger eyes. What's it about this face?
Softer.
So softer
Round,
face,
more rounded.
rounder, more soft, more trustworthy.
Yeah. He's got a fuller mouth. He's got rather a thin mouth, which shows perhaps a meaner sort of person, and his eyes are slitty.
So that's more of a meaner countenance.
I would have said so, yeah. Somebody a bit more bad-tempered, perhaps.
He looks like a criminal.
Why?
I don't know. It's just the chiseled jaw and the... I can't explain it.
Which is the more trustworthy face?
No.
Again, why?
Because more rounded features again. That's more pointy.
Eyes very funny.
Yeah.
So there's something about soft, rounded features means more believable, more trustworthy.
Yeah.
Even though there's no scientific evidence to back it up, the majority of people we stopped instinctively associated more aquiline features with dishonesty, something known as the baby face effect. But our prejudices don't stop there. This face has bigger eyes than this one, so you might think that people would judge it to be the more trustworthy of the two.
Which is the more trustworthy?
Him.
Why?
Not sure.
What about the difference in skin colour here? Was that influential?
Slightly, yes.
Yeah.
Slightly did, yes.
And what did the skin tone suggested someone who wouldn't be trustworthy?
No, not particularly.
Not particularly, but I think we would go for that one.
Yeah.
Because we are more like that one.
I know more about this one than I know about that one.
You know more about this one than this one.
I don't know many black people. I know more.
So that's more of a face you know.
That's the face I know.
That's a stranger's face.
That's right.
Which is the more trustworthy? This guy. Why this guy?
Around the face.
Now, what about the obvious?
Oh, the colour?
Yeah. But did that play a part in your judgment?
Not really.
Now, look, you're a black guy. Have you ever found that because of your appearance, because of your skin colour, you're regarded as being not trustworthy?
Sometimes.
Well, how does that make you feel?
It doesn't bother me anymore. I got used to that a long time ago.
So, whether it's instinct or just that we trust people like ourselves, it seems that when it comes to judging honesty, we're anything but objective. It's little wonder that we've had to turn to technology in our fight against deceit. For over 7 years, Doug Williams worked for the Oklahoma City Police. During that time, he conducted more than 6,000 polygraph examinations.
Well, a polygraph's a great interrogation tool because it puts a person in the hands of a trained interrogator and puts them in a very submissive type situation.
We're going to determine what your particular body patterns are.
The polygraph is intimidating just by its very nature. I've had seasoned veteran police officers who had been through gunfights and bar fights and you name it, literally throw up on the floor from fear. Literally just throw up on the floor. I had one woman on a criminal investigation go into a catatonic state with fear to the extent that it caused some severe psychological damage.
Now, I think I'm quite a good liar, so I'm going to put the polygraph to the test. Doug, I've been looking forward to this. How are you?
Great, thank you.
So, this is the polygraph.
That's the machine.
It's making me anxious just looking at it.
It has that effect, and you'll be even more intimidated when you get all the attachments hooked up to you. But that's part of the power of the polygraph is in the mind of the victims, so to speak. The more nervous you are, the better chances of me determining whether or not you've tried to deceive me.
Okay, so how do we put this to the test?
Well, we devised a simple little test. I'm just going to put my cell phone down here, and John, I want you to either touch it or not, depending on what you choose. And just so we have a little something writing on this, and that there's a certain amount of fear of detection in your mind, if I'm able to determine whether you've lied or not, you have to pay me $50.
$50?
$50.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right, John, well, I'm going to turn my back, and you choose whether to touch the phone or whether not to. You made your decision?
Yes, I have.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. What Doug will be looking for are those involuntary physical reactions that accompany a stressful situation. In this case, the lie I'm about to tell. Any changes to my breathing pattern, perspiration, or blood pressure will be picked up and recorded on a graph. First, Doug asks me some simple control questions.
Is your first name John?
Yes. It's against these readings that my lie will be compared.
Do you live in London?
Yes.
Are you sitting down?
Yes. It's now my turn to lie.
Did you touch my cell phone?
Yes.
Did you lie to me on that last question?
No.
The test is over. Just keep still.
So, did Doug and the polygraph catch me out?
Okay, John, anybody can see, I mean, even from a distance, you can see that you're not as good a liar or as good at controlling your reactions as you might have thought, because when we came down to the point at issue, the two very relevant questions, did you touch my cell phone, and did you lie to me on that last question? You exhibited a very dramatic and sustained response.
So that's the point where I said I did touch your phone there.
And the question here I was asked, did you touch my cell phone? And you said yes, and then had a big reaction. And then the next question, did you lie to me on that last question, no, and then even more sustained and more marked reaction. So based on this polygraph chart and based on your physiological reactions, it's my opinion that you have lied, and it's going to cost you $50.
50 it is, I guess.
Although the polygraph proved to be more than a match for me, Doug believes it has a major flaw.
The problem with the polygraph is it isn't always true. About 50% of the time, nervousness does in fact indicate deception, but unfortunately, 50% of the time it doesn't. Embarrassment, nervousness, fear can cause you to have a reaction that would indicate deception even though you're perfectly truthful.
And just as the polygraph can sometimes condemn the innocent, so it can also exonerate the guilty. In 2003, America's most prolific serial killer, Gary Ridgway, was convicted of 48 counts of murder. Most of his victims, all young women, had been strangled in a 2-year killing spree. But Ridgway had first been a suspect as early as 1987, when he was asked to undertake a polygraph test. Ridgway passed and was allowed to walk free, only to continue killing. Not only does Doug believe the polygraph's flawed, he can prove it.
I had a friend of mine come in once when I was on the police force, and he was a detective, and he said, you know, Doug, he said, knowing as much as you know about the polygraph, would it be possible for you to beat it? And so I thought, well, I wonder. After he had left, I hooked myself up to the polygraph and set myself down and tightened up my anal sphincter muscle like I was trying to stop a bowel movement, and lo and behold, I cranked out about a 100-point blood pressure increase just like that.
So you're telling me that a simple butt clench is sufficient to sort of throw you off?
Basically what it is, the anal sphincter muscle is surrounded by the largest arteries in the body, and it's like a garden hose. You tighten up around that garden hose and you cause an increase in blood pressure.
But if I'd known that before, I could have saved myself $50.
Could have saved $50.
Given the polygraph's shortcomings, scientists have been experimenting with other technologies. Brain scans, voice patterns, even thermal signatures have all been employed in the search for that holy grail of lie detection, 100% reliability. But as yet, that goal still remains some way off. But is this always a cause for concern? This art gallery in the heart of Mayfair is the venue for a little social experiment. Standing in pride of place is a painting that's totally unique. Not because it's that valuable, but because it was created by a rhinoceros. With the aid of hidden cameras, I'm interested in discovering what people have to say about this masterpiece, first in private, and then when confronted by an actor passing himself off as the artist. Just how far will people be prepared to go to avoid a potentially embarrassing situation?
Okay.
I think I could do better than that. I could recreate that within like 3 minutes.
Yeah, so could I.
I could do that.
It's probably done by a monkey. That's awful, I'm sorry.
Could you do it?
Yes.
How easily could you do it?
Very easily.
Would you like to own that painting?
Would I like to own it? No.
You wouldn't?
No.
With virtually everyone in agreement about the picture's lack of artistic merit, our artist makes his entrance.
Twist. Hi.
You look at what I like.
Yeah.
We're just looking
We're
at
looking at one of the...
Can I tell you a little bit about it?
Yeah, please do.
Great, okay. You know how some people will have like an aura around them? You know, people say, oh, you've got a blue aura, you know. Well, with me, when I look at nature, I can see vibrations coming off them. Almost like a colour, a sound. I paint out in the sun a lot, out in, so I like to spend a lot of time out in the country, and I've even used to mix my paints just the water from the river that I might be sitting next to.
Well, what I created this effect with
these strokes is there was a dead bird on the floor, and I just pulled a couple of feathers from one of its wings and brushed it out. I thought that was a nice touch.
Does it have a name?
Yes, it does, yeah. It's called Sonic Flowers. I've called this country house. It's called Awkward Days and Fantastic Nights. I think you can see the awkward days. I call it Nostradamus.
What, based on the famous...
No, just the place in my mind.
Oh, fair enough.
I call it Insurmountable Dreams.
Okay.
What does it represent?
My insurmountable dreams. But
Armed with a bit of background, what do our critics make of the painting now?
Very nice.
Thank you.
I like it. I think it's really vibrant.
I think this is something that would sit very nicely in any kind of living room.
You've put in the primary colours, you've put in a focal point, you've put in all the elements.
Makes me think of a sort of circular movement of people and coloured lights, I don't know, dance or something like that.
That's good. You obviously see the energy.
I love the green. Whatever it is, the green does it wonders because the green brings the serenity too.
I suppose I see the Turner in it with the strokes.
If you were to be exhibited on a stall with 50 or 100 other artists, I think this would rate
In the
fairly
top
highly to the others.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I saw it, I went, that would probably sell for loads of money, that will. I think you could get quite a lot for that.
If you said to me, Carl, I offer you this painting, would you like to have it at your lunch? I'd say I'd be more than happy to do so. To create something requires a gift.
Thank you for the effort, Paul.
Oh no, thank you for
Because a lot of
the-
people, they feel
that's
things, they don't go to the effort to share the feeling. Communication is the key to life.
Absolutely.
What we've seen is that many people would rather lie to someone's face than hurt their feelings. And that's because lying has always been part of everyday life. We lie to our friends, partners, and relatives, because if we always told them the truth, we'd soon find ourselves shunned and isolated.
Everyone tells a little white lie, but a little white lie just to smooth things over.
I think sometimes people have to lie to kind of get by with everyday life.
I think there are times where you can be, let's say, a little sparing with the truth because it protects someone.
You lie to not to offend. If someone says, does it look good? Does it look okay? Say, yes, it's lovely.
I think sometimes people are, how can you put it, frugal with the truth if they feel they're protecting you.
Certainly tell a lie to save someone's feelings, stop someone from being hurt, or bring up an issue at a later date or a more appropriate time, those sorts of occasions.
The fact is, it's not always in our best interests to know the full truth. Once Greg Billingham found that people were prepared to believe he was a professional builder, despite being a complete novice, he began to spread his wings.
Did you find that the need to tell lies spilt over into other aspects of your life?
Yes, I did, yes. I found, as I, if you like, bragged more about different jobs and succeeded, I realized that you could sort of paint a picture of yourself well, really any way you wanted to, really. I found the way you dressed, the way you held yourself, the way you might walk into a certain club where, that they want selected clientele going in, I could get in. And I could be whatever person I wanted to be, depending on the person I was talking to. And I found that it works, it does work.
2 years on, and there's one lie Greg has still not owned up to. Since the day they met, his girlfriend Diana has been under the impression that Greg is 37, when in truth, he's 47, some 20 years older than her.
This is the one lie that I've kept from Diana, and it's reached a time now where I really need to tell her. I need to be honest with her, and hopefully she'll accept it and accept me for who I am, and we'll carry on as normal. There is one thing I have actually kept from you. When I first met you, I had a bad time and I decided to rewind my life and restart. I think I've said that to you, rewind and start it all over again. But what I did lie about was my age. I'm just a little bit older than I
led you to believe. So it's
So
not.
how much
it's
is a
not
little
just
bit?
the stress and the weather and everything that's made me look a bit older.
Okay, so
I'm actually 10 years older than I really am.
I don't believe it.
It was just that I suppose that line in my life that I kept away and just lived and lived. And sometimes I think I convinced myself I was 37.
So you're 5 years younger than my mom. Oh God, what am I telling my parents?
And I'm sorry. I am really, really sorry. I hope you can forgive me. And
I'm a bit mad at you.
I know you will be.
Is there anything else you haven't told me, or
No,
is that the
you
only
can
thing?
check with anything else. That's the only lie. If you, I don't feel worried about you checking it anything else, you know, because everything else is the truth.
The truth is hurtful in the sense that I feel he didn't trust me enough to tell me. That's the only reason, I think. And I feel he betrayed me. How can I explain that?
Is it the age difference or the lie?
The lie.
Sorry.
So just because we don't like being lied to doesn't necessarily mean the truth is any easier to deal with. Earlier in the programme, we showed you 6 short video clips and asked you to identify the 3 people who are lying. Also taking part in our experiment were some people who know a thing or two about honesty. A group of nuns and some nightclub bouncers. So which of our storytellers was lying?
I wanted to go cage diving with a great white shark.
If you spotted this look, then maybe you realised that this man has never even seen a great white shark.
I got locked out of my room on the 6th floor. I was completely naked.
If you noticed this smirk, then you probably worked out that this man was also pulling the wool over your eyes.
So I spent the rest of the day in hospital and missed my own party.
And if you clocked this lip bite, then perhaps you gathered that this storyteller was talking pure fiction. If you didn't spot the signs, then you're not alone, because our experts, who between them watched a total of 20 clips, also fared pretty badly. Both our nuns and bouncers were only able to pick out a mere 50% of the liars on show. It seems then that however good we think we are at spotting lies, we do just as well flipping a coin. Why we find it so hard is that most of us aren't attuned to looking in the right way. We miss those fleeting, telltale expressions which conflict with what's actually being said. But as we know, some people can spot these giveaways. Before lie wizard Beth Shannon flew back home, we asked her to watch one more tape. We wanted to know if there was a chance that Greg Billingham could be hiding other secrets from his girlfriend.
There is one thing that I have actually kept from you. I'm actually 10 years older than I really am.
I don't believe it. Is there anything else you haven't told me, or
No,
is that the
you
only
can
thing?
check with anything else. That's the only lie. If you, I don't feel worried about you checking it anything else, you know, because everything else is the truth.
Okay, what do you make of that?
I think at the end he is hiding something. I can't say how serious it is.
So there are more hidden truths, you think?
I think so. I think so. It's hard for me to tell how serious those transgressions are, but I believe there are things that he's holding back from his girlfriend.
When we told Greg of Beth's suspicions, he was adamant that he had no more secrets to reveal. But you've seen the film. What do you think?
Is there anything else you haven't told me, or
No,
is that the
you
only
can
thing?
check with anything else. That's the only lie. If you, I don't feel worried about you checking it anything else, you know, because everything else is the truth, 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 truth.